All right, welcome to another episode of the Fort Wayne Local Podcast. Today, I'm joined by current city council member and mayor candidate Tom Didier. Tom, how you doing?
Jacob, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you coming out today.
It's my pleasure. I really enjoy these types of I call them events.
Yeah.
So, it's really cool that you invited me. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the idea is to, give you the opportunity to kind of share your platform.
Mm-hmm.
You've been involved in politics for a long time. Like, you clearly care about the city. So I just kind of wanted to kind of dig in on that. We'll start just a quick background. So you are currently married. You have 3 children. You worked in sales for U.S. Foods for over 30 years. You've represented Fort Wayne's 3rd District since 2003 on city council, where you actually defeated now Mayor Tom Henry for the city council seat. Maybe a little foreshadowing. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
See.
But is there anything else you want to add about your background before we get started?
Just love the community, and I'm just excited to have the opportunity to be the next mayor of Fort Wayne.
Awesome.
It's surreal.
So just to kind of frame our conversation today, could you summarize your platform for maybe people who haven't been following your campaign and kind of what you stand for and how you're different from the other candidates?
I think the reason I'm different is because of my ability to communicate. And I'm going to be that type of mayor that is out there selling the city. And then I'm listening to different people, different business owners, and really getting out from behind the desk and getting my hands dirty in the aspects of, all right, we're going to go to work here. And we're going to make Fort Wayne the best city. We're that diamond in the rough. And I think that really is the difference between me and whoever else is running against me, even Mayor Henry and himself, because I just don't believe that you can be in front of people enough. They're the ones that are, living in the city, and they're the ones that want the items that are going to make them happy, whether it's, going downtown to, Promenade or the Harrison, the baseball diamond that I voted on. It all started then. And I really, it really started further back than that, in my childhood, going to grade school downtown. So, and walking through the downtown and seeing the hustle and bustle of what it was like, and then see it deteriorate so badly over the course of 30 years. And then we basically rejuvenated it. And I was a part of that with, former Mayor Graham Richards. And I'm just blessed that I got asked to even run for city council. It wasn't in my radar.
Really?
No, I always voted and I always cared about voting, but I was out of the city limits for 8 years.
Okay.
So I lived in the city, and then we built a house, which is right next to Lincoln Village. And that wasn't a part of the city, believe it or not, in 1995 when we built it.
Yeah, that was probably middle of nowhere back then.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it gives you a little insight about me.
I love it. I love it. And what would be your top priority as mayor? What's one thing that you're really going to hang your hat on if you get elected?
Well, I think the thing that's the most important, again, is the neighborhoods. And I can't accentuate it enough because when I first got elected into office as a city councilman, we had these dollars that were called seeded dollars. And we, as council people, utilized that money, which was about $450,000, and it went to projects that you could work with the different neighborhoods to help, push things along. And maybe it was sidewalks or curbs or whatever it might be. That was something that was going to, help that particular neighborhood and what they needed. And we just got away from it. Our current mayor didn't see that it was something that was needed. And it basically, to me, it was a control issue that in some ways, it deters the neighborhoods from getting involved. And I want everybody's involvement, That was the way I was when I was in sales for food sales. I went to restaurants and I would see 8 to 10 businesses every single day, talk to them, discuss what their needs were and what their wants were and what what I could do to help and, bring them new ideas of what they should be doing with their restaurants and their food and things of that nature. And then, listen to them and ask what they wanted from their restaurants. And I think that makes a huge difference in whether we're listening or if we're just doing. If I'm just going to tell people what I'm going to do and not include them, then you don't get very much. It's like you're missing you're baking a cake and you're missing the flour. You got all the other ingredients, but you're missing the main ingredient, which is the people in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, and sales is listening. So if you have a background in sales and you already know that, and you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, instead of painting with a broad brush, you want to make sure that you're talking to each individual community and giving them what they need, not just making a sweeping decision that could have, helped some and not help others.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is kind of like with Electric Works.
Mhm.
When we voted on Electric Works, I mean, our current mayor wasn't for Electric Works. In fact, he did everything he could to try and detour us from even voting on it. And then, I had to work across the aisle with Councilman Glenn Hines, and we had to, basically say, look, the state's given this amount of money, the federal government's given this amount of money, the city is already said that they were going to give this amount of money, and now you're backpedaling. And I just don't want anything like that to happen because we had such good success in regards to what the people truly wanted. So they wanted GE
Mhm.
and the whole aspect of that campus to come to life. And you had individuals that were trying to basically say, no, we don't want this. But, the constituents, the neighborhoods, they wanted it. And look at it now. It's amazing. And I want to give the kudos to where the kudos goes. And that's the city council worked extremely hard in making that happen.
Okay, so you've been for progress and these development projects for the long haul. Then this has been part of your vision for basically as long as you've been involved.
It has been because the thing is I've always been about tourism because these are tax dollars that come from outside the community,
Hmm.
that are coming to our city. And then they come to our city and they say, wow, this is amazing what you've done. And, maybe I want to end up coming back here and living here. So you've got people that are moving here, even retirees that are coming to Fort Wayne from other states that want to live here because of the amenities that we have.
Okay, and then that you kind of touched on it, but I'd like to elaborate a little bit. If
Go
you
ahead.
could, for a minute, speak to the person who maybe says, I don't want Electric Works. I'm not going to use it. I don't want my taxpayer dollars to go to that. What would you say to people who maybe had those views or were against some of these projects?
What would happen is, and I really respect that person in regards to that because, one size doesn't fit all. So, but in the long scheme of things, 85% of people wanted it.
Hmm.
And that was to me, it was a no-brainer in regards to why we should vote for it. Yes, there are an immense amount of tax dollars that are included in this, but you're talking about state tax dollars, federal tax dollars, city tax dollars, and so they all were working together as a team. And if you didn't, those tax dollars just would have went somewhere else and in the state, and we would have, yes, held on to ours, but then you would have had a big empty building, 400 less jobs with just one company.
Hmm.
There's more than one company in that building. Do It Best is there now, and they would have Do It Best would have moved to another state. And so that's what I'm trying to alleviate when maybe my counterpart has an idea in regards to, he constantly votes no on tax abatements. I get that, but I'm in sales. So in sales, we gave incentives when I worked for the company that I worked for.
Hmm.
And so there's an incentive by giving a tax abatement so that the company will stay here instead of going somewhere else, or a new company will come here and utilize the tax abatement. And that's where the functionality comes in my thought process.
So it's about being competitive then.
It really is, because do we really want this company to move to Des Moines, Iowa or
Mhm.
Austin, Texas? I don't want them to leave
Yeah.
because they're too hard to bring back. Once you lose a large corporation, which I am very familiar with when we lost International Harvester, Mayor Wynn Moses did an amazing job trying to keep International Harvester here, I talked to him on the phone about it because I said something and he didn't like what I said. And then when he called me and we talked live, he gave me the information of what really happened. And so I had a much better picture in regards to what they were trying to do to keep the company here, and it ended up leaving anyways. Now, fortunately, we were very lucky. In many ways, we've got the GM plant, which is not a Fort Wayne company; it's a Allen County company.
Mhm.
But the tax dollars are still, all the income and everything else is staying in Allen County.
Okay. And this is a little anecdotal, but have you noticed? I know the first time, or with the Parkview Field, I feel like there was a big pushback on that one. It was like, why, we already have a baseball stadium. Why we need a baseball stadium? And I know, like, even I can think of my parents and some of their friends where it took them, they needed to see to believe. And now they're huge fans, they got season
Mhm.
tickets. And did you notice a change in Electric Works that even though it was still polarizing, did you notice like the pendulum had swung a little bit in favor because they'd already seen what had happened with Parkview?
Mhm. Well, having Parkview go through and be a success made Electric Works a much easier vote.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there was 400 people in the audience. Um, the meeting lasted 4.5 hours long
Whew.
when we did Harrison Square,
Hmm.
and 85% of the people didn't want it
Hmm.
because of exactly what you were talking about. And look, I grew up in downtown Fort Wayne because that's where I went to grade school. And so I have a really good familiarity of downtown and the whole community itself, not just downtown because my father's stores were on the south end of town. So I have a good broad vision of the whole city. And you had to fix the core of the city. If you wouldn't have fixed the core of the city, guess who's leaving? And you wouldn't have the homes that are being bought today if things wouldn't have been turned around 18, 20 years ago. It just would not have. And that was why I was so passionate about it. I mean, I went to other stadiums. I went to Dayton, Toledo. I just wanted to see what their stadiums were like. And I'm a big baseball guy.
Hmm.
So I went to other professional stadiums in my past, not at that particular time, but I knew what the vision was.
Hmm.
My whole thought process was, okay, so long as we put the stadium in the spot that it's at now, they had two other spots. I don't
Hmm.
know if you knew that.
I
So
did
they
not know that.
did. So they had two other ideas of where they might want to put it. And I went to other stadiums and I saw, look, we got to have a vision. We have to, people, they buy with their eyes.
Hmm.
So I wanted it to be on the other side of Jefferson because then you would see the skyline
Hmm.
of downtown Fort Wayne. I mean, when you go to the stadium, it looks like a totally different city.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It is.
I take pictures there and videos as often. I
It's
just
amazing.
posted a video like 2 weeks ago.
That's why it's always gets the number one um, stadium in the country
Hmm.
for minor league baseball.
Hmm.
There's a reason why, and it's because I went to Dayton. Dayton has an amazing stadium. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. But this one, it goes. You can walk all the way around it, and you can see the skyline. You go to Dayton, you can't walk all the way around it, and you can't see their skyline. So that was the mistake that I saw that they did in that city. I mean, they still sell out every single
Hmm.
game, but I wanted it to be more of a visual attraction
Hmm.
overall because that's what I started out with. Again, my dad used to say, "Eye appeal is by appeal. If it looks right, it's going to taste right." And so, because I sold steaks and chicken and roast and beef and all day long, that's what I did. And my dad would set this perfect case of meat, and people would come in, and I would always remember, certain customers would come in. Now, can I see what's underneath? Let me look at that. So then they'd see, oh, can I have that steak? And it's like the steak on top was probably just as pretty,
Hmm.
but in the colorization and the marble and all that, but they wanted that one. And I just, you give them what they want. And I think that the long and short of it is that's what you want. If you give people the right look, they're going to buy it. And I'm telling you what, Fort Wayne has bought into Harrison Square and the baseball stadium. And so all the other integral parts, Columbia Street, now you got that nice walk path, you got the Pearl going on, you got Promenade, all these things.
Hmm.
And, with the two Barrett Stokely projects going on, I mean, you're seeing a transformation that has included the city council. We have had to vote on all of these things over the course of the last 20 years. That it's not just one person. That's one thing that I want to make clear. Tom Didier is running for mayor. Tom Didier wants to be the mayor, but it's not about Tom Didier. That's
I
that.
gotcha.
Yep.
I love it. And are you familiar with American Tobacco Campus in Durham at all?
Oh yeah,
So
I have heard of it.
my mother-in-law lives there and was the president of the chamber, and it was kind of the same story. And I think maybe why I've been in such big support of these projects was basically their downtown Durham was, pretty run down like ours, had been
Mhm.
kind of an afterthought, and they took all these abandoned tobacco warehouses and redid them, but like kept kind of the
Mhm.
aesthetic, not just scraping it to the ground. And then they moved on the Durham Bulls right there,
Mhm.
and it's just been it went from a place where you never want to go to highest rent per square foot in the entire city because
Right.
it's such an attraction. And I think they're having seen that where that can go. Like the exciting thing I think is that Fort Wayne hasn't even seen the best of this yet. We've still got Riverfront phases 2 and 3, which are going to be what more restaurants, and then
Right.
3 is going to be more recreational, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mhm.
Like sledding hills, amphitheater, stuff like that. So I feel like we're only kind of just getting a taste of the vision. And so, is there anything else that you want to talk about, at least with these? I know Riverfront. Is there any other projects in the horizon
Well,
or
you said it the
anything?
best, and I can sing it for you because Frank Sinatra sang it. It says, "The best is yet to come, and you will find it's going to happen." I mean, it really is. I have that much energy in regards to what I want to foresee over the next 4 to 8 years. If people are wanting that change and they want the aspects of an energetic mayor, I am the man for the job because I want to see things come to fruition. And I don't have to be there forever. It's not about that. Again, I just want Fort Wayne to continue the growth process that we've been on for the past 20 years.
And what's an issue that you think is very important that maybe doesn't get enough attention? Whether it's just not the sexy headline or whatever, but it's you would being in the know, an issue that you would want to try to see addressed, and what you would take care of.
I think the biggest issue probably is we need to, and this is off the cuff in the aspects that wasn't in my notes at all. Or it's from the heart. We really need to focus on police oriented. I want people to be able to get to know the police officers, get them out of their cars, get them out talking to the neighborhoods. I can't express it enough. If you have good communication with the police department, the fire department in regards to how and what their needs are in the neighborhood, and that's what's going to be important to me. All the other fun stuff that everybody wants, the ball diamonds and the electric works and all those things are wonderful extras, I call them. But what it really comes down to is what are we doing for the community with policing and making sure everybody's safe. It's important to me, and it's probably one of my top priorities besides the neighborhoods.
And so it sounds like it kind of ties in too with, you were talking about connectivity in the specific neighborhoods,
Mhm.
and you want to extend that to the police, with probably cutting off, like, I feel like over the last couple of years there's been a growing like kind of us versus them with the police force, where the
Mhm.
citizens and the police force have sometimes seen a divide. And you're
Mhm.
saying you want to get them back in the community, kind of what you were just talking about doing yourself, like getting out, meeting people, getting to know them by name, and instead
Mhm.
of like a ruling body, it's more like a part of the fabric of the community.
It is. And, I've been talking to Anthony a lot, and he says, "You've been bringing up the word trust a lot." And I saw it in a quote when I was reading some scripture, and it's got the two letters us. And I have to keep talking about it because, I think we have to start trusting people again. I think that, there's so much polarization because of, you go back and look at some videotapes of, like I was watching in the decades or whatever it's on, I forget, it's on channel 477 on Frontier. And it shows all these decades, and it showed the politics of the 1980s and the 1990s, and I just see there wa- there was a respect, even though you didn't get along with somebody, there was a respect, and I want to bring that aspect of things back. The city council overall, we respect each other, and I want to bring a different kind of a vision to the mayor's office. There's got to be a respect in regards to how we treat the people, and I want them to trust uh, us again. It really is it really is important to me, and we're just down here for a very short time. You're born, you die, and then all the things that are in between are the test, and you get tried, you get tested every single day, and I really want people to know the number one thing for me is to trust. I want them to know that I'm going to do everything in my power in the 4 years that I am in office. So, because you only get 4 years, and then you have to do it all over again. And there has to be a synergy and if you don't have that, then it's time to pack your bags and move on to the next thing. And I want people to know that I'm here for the long haul.
I think that's well said. Especially, I like that you touched on council respecting each other. I actually had Jason Arp on as well, and I feel like you guys have very different views
Hmm.
on things. But talking to you both, I actually feel like the underlying theme is you both care very much about Fort Wayne
Hmm.
and trying to do the best job, even though maybe his vision is clearly very different than
Hmm.
yours. But there's a lot of similarities, and I think that's pretty awesome that you pointed that out.
Yeah, I mean, I get along with everybody on council. I don't I don't understand their ideologies
Hmm.
on certain things, but that's what makes the world go around.
Hmm.
Everybody has differences of opinions. It's whether you respect the person still after you hear the opinion that they have. I mean, I live off the 10 Commandments. Who doesn't break one? We all do.
Hmm.
He says, "He's without sin shall cast the first stone." And it's like, I'm not going to cast a stone on anybody because that's not my style. I want to build the community up. I want to build people up. I don't want to tear down. There's enough people tearing people down. We don't need to do that. My father didn't let us do that. I have 11 brothers and sisters. We all got along, and it was because we respected each other. Didn't always see eye to eye, but we respected each other, and we did the same thing with the customers that we talked to when they came in the store, and I do the same thing with constituents, and I've done the same thing with the chefs that I've had to deal with in the past. I mean, I've had them screaming at me because why didn't I get this? And you just say, "Don't worry, we'll get it fixed. We're going to work on it and we'll get it corrected." That's all you can do.
Hmm.
It's a pretty simple process. It's not rocket science.
Transparency and trust and respect. Yeah.
Amen.
So, okay. Is there anything else? We've kind of touched on some of the economic development. We've touched on neighborhoods, strengthening the police force through connecting with the community. Is there anything else that you want to highlight on your campaign or any of your goals?
One of the big goals is that we're looking at going to a zero-based budget, and there's a distinct possibility that that's the route. We have to, this budget that we're going to vote on next October will be the budget that will be for 2024, but it will give us a whole year to look at what we need to do to correct some things. Are we spending money in the wrong area? Because I don't know. Sometimes, the budget is so vast, it's almost $300 million. And you look at it and you say to yourself, okay, we're just going to add 3% to it every year. And, that's because we need to. But are there places in different, parts of the city that maybe we need to move this over to here? And, like say parks need something more, or say community development needs something more, and we can take it away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we can utilize it, and we can start from the ground up. I mean, you do it with your own budget at home.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you have, you know what you're going to possibly make for that year, but you don't want to spend it all, if you don't have to. So, and I'm, as much as my opponent in the spring is going to be thinking aspects of how I do tax abatements. I spend more. The thing is, my father always says you got to spend money to make money.
Hmm.
So the government's job is to make sure that you're doing all the things.
Investing. You got to
You got
invest
to
it.
invest.
Yeah.
So, and that's really key for me. So, and I think that at the same time, when you're investing, there's also the ability to, if we find out that there's money that we can give back to the community, in a different way, we'll figure that aspect out after the first year I'm in office.
Yeah, that's trial and error as well. I feel like, when you invest, you try different things. The ones that work, you keep going, or maybe,
Hmm.
turn up the gas, and then the stuff that's not, then you just move it. But unless you try, you don't know. So that's an interesting counterpoint, though. You were saying you're supporting a lot of this progress, a lot of these developments, but you're also saying we're not going to be irresponsible. We're going to go ahead and make sure that we hold ourselves accountable and see if there's opportunities for improvement on the defensive side of the budget too.
Yeah, I agree because, I discern everything. I mean, it's not like I'm just willy nilly going in here and saying, oh, this is, I take a lot of time and effort. It's not just the, 2 hours that you're sitting there at the city council meeting that you're making a decision. You're going to meetings, you're talking to different financial people in regards to, is this going to be a good, mix for the community and what we really want to see happen? That's why GFW to me is an important aspect for the community. They're our salesperson. They're one of them. You have other people that are salespeople in the community that are selling our city. You got the likes of Chuck Surek at Sweetwater. He's selling the city all over the place by all the projects that he's doing. And then other people see it and they go, this guy's putting money into it and investing it. Well, I want to invest in it. People like to be around successful people because there's success that are it in it in the industry that
Hmm.
you do by selling homes. Why are the one people, why are they more successful? Because they sit back, they listen to the constituent or the customer, and they go, okay, this is what we need to do. And you're not recreating a wheel here. You're trying to find the best avenue to make things happen for the community. And I'm doing the same thing as a city councilman. I want to do the best things I can to make the community a better place.
Yeah, and I feel like as well, something I've always been a supporter of with this economic development is with each project that you have, the next one is less risky for the developer.
Hmm.
It's probably a lot riskier to do the ballpark. Electric Works is pretty risky, but now the next one is going to be less because we've already got a track record of success
Hmm.
and we've got momentum. So I feel like that kind of spurs, like it's a lot easier to jump on a wave than it is to try to create it from the
Hmm.
beginning. And now we've got some momentum where it seems like, there's I just saw the other day the what was it, the old Pepsi plant or Pepsi whatever downtown is going to be a gaming center with like a rooftop bar. I mean, that would have never happened
Nope.
had all this stuff basically been stemming out from that, Harrison Square project. So I think that's another
It all
important
starts
part.
from there. And, there was some vision. Sam Tallarico, Tim Pape, they worked across the aisle to make these things happen. And then I got elected into office, and Sam and Tim, they sat down with me and they said, we really need to make this project happen. Man, I'm telling you, that was a tough vote. I mean, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And it really started the domino effect.
Hmm.
I mean, I've been there for all of them. Sam and Tim, they're not on, haven't been on council for a long time. Tim's not been on council for 12 years and Sam hasn't been on for 16. So, but I can tell you, I still talk to them. And, they're an important, integral part of the community. They're the ones that started it, and I respect that aspect of it, and I give them the kudos for taking the tough risks that they took in regards to it because it wasn't easy. Then they would have easily gotten reelected, but they chose to continue on with their with their firms and move on with their careers there. But I still call them on occasions to get information that I need to make good, viable decisions for the community. You need those kind of people involved in your community, like John Stafford, who's like I call him Mr. Economics. I mean, the man just knows everything about the economy and what we could do, what we need to do. You call these people; they're your resources. It's not like I'm just sitting out here by myself. And that's what I try to tell people. You got this huge support team that if you are doing things right and you're calculating everything out correctly, you're going to make things happen in this community, and people are seeing it. I mean, I don't have to tell people. They just come up to me and they say, "Man, this is amazing what you've done to the city." And and it's not just me. It's not me. I'm just one of the votes. You know what I'm saying? There's 7, 8 other people on that council that have to make that same vote. And yes, the mayor is included in that, but it can't be just one person. It's not one person. It's everyone. And that's what I'm going to include. Everyone.
Well, your passion is undeniable. That's definitely something that I'm noticing right now. But so how can people connect with you? How can they support your campaign?
So you just go to my website. It's tomdidierfortwayne.com, and they can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And you can text the word join, JOIN, to 833-551-0108. If they want me as their next mayor, I will work tirelessly for the next 4 years, making the things that the people want come true in the community. It's all I care about, because you know what? 50 years from now, it ain't going to matter. I could have plaques of my name everywhere, and you know what? I won't be here. I'll be 110 years old. If I am, God willing, great. But that's not what it's about for me. I just really want the community to rise above and move on, and let's keep the polarization out of the campaign, and let's just focus on the people.
That's fantastic. Well said. You are a good communicator. I will definitely give you that. Tom, I really, really appreciate your time today. Anthony on your team, thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. If you guys have any more questions, reach out to Tom. If you're a supporter, make sure you make yourself known, and good luck.
Hey, thank you, Jacob.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. God bless you.
See ya.